All right, so lately, some fools want to throw the practice of free speech into question. They want to go what they think is tit for tat, and they want to go to bat for Jimmy Kimmel. Now, they go, hey, well, if your free speech, meaning Charlie Kirk's whole career, is protected, thereby making the killer nothing more than a butthurt weakling who couldn't take the speech of Charlie Kirk, then why are you guys acting butthurt because Jimmy Kimmel used free speech to throw shade on the entire MAGA movement by saying that, wrongly, that the guy who shot Charlie Kirk was in league with MAGA? Right. All right. Well, let me clarify one thing. You get butthurt when you're an egomaniac, when somebody says something that seems to be throwing shade on you. And throwing shade on your lifestyle is like throwing shade on you. You can't distinguish that. And and there's a difference between primarily throwing shade on somebody as your primary reason for making your comments. And then there's this kind of dumb luck situation where, in the interest of stating the truth, a byproduct of that is that someone takes it as though you were throwing shade on them. So, um, when Charlie Kirk said the many things that he said, was he primarily trying to serve by issuing clarifications about reality? Was he actually trying to serve by issuing clarifications about reality, which means, hey, you don't want to have some sort of detrimental reliance on somebody's comments. You want to say something that's real, that if they take it to the bank, there are going to be some crops at the end of the season for them. If they're going to plant based on your say so, that they're going to yield some benefits. That's the benefit of truth. If I tell you a truth and you're able to sow seeds and reap a harvest, then I've helped you. So, in the interest of trying to help people, Charlie Kirk, he makes clarifications about reality, right? Then some butthurt people think that because he threw shade on their lifestyle, that he actually was guilty of hate speech. He's hating them. Oh my God. Just just a departure for a second. If you think that nature and reality are a detraction, or a love for nature and reality are a detraction from your lifestyle, you picked the wrong fucking lifestyle. You fucking nut. You're a fucking nut. All right. You're not viable for anything in that mode that you're in. Okay. We must cooperate with reality and nature, period. So if you pick the lifestyle, for example, if I say nature does not reward homosexual relationships with reproductivity, right? It doesn't actually reward you with natural reproduction. You might feel butthurt, but one, I didn't make that up. Two, for anybody who wants to have a child and reproduce, they'll have to resort to heterosexuality for that. That is a fact. And if you actually really wanted reproductivity, you'd have to honor reality. So by my saying nature does not support homosexual behavior with reproductivity, okay? Um, I'm primarily not trying to make you feel bad. I'm primarily trying to arm you with something that you could take to the bank and get some kind of a fruit out of it, okay? If I say, um, you know, I hate homosexuals, then then you can say that I'm primarily trying to change how you feel about yourself. I'm trying to wound you. I'm trying to, psychologically or verbally punish you or whatever. I don't think that the left distinguishes the difference. One, intellect should lead emotion. Emotions can crop up from misunderstandings. Intellect would make you double check the facts of a situation before you go into things like high degrees of frustration and then punishment of other people, right? Before you go and punish somebody, before you go pull a trigger, you would want to push your emotion aside, and you kind of want to like let your intellect actually review the situation. You should be looking for facts while you're doing that. You shouldn't, slave your intellect to your emotions. In other words, don't come up with arguments just so you could have some kind of a weapon against a person that you just didn't like at the outset. In other words, don't let the feelings of disliking someone cause you to change your principles just so that you could fashion a weapon, right? So getting back to this whole Jimmy Kimmel thing, there are some people on the right that want to be like butthurt about free speech, and Jimmy Kimmel said a really like, um, I don't know, some people acting like it's painful that he wrongly aligned the shooter with MAGA, right? I'm not hurt about that because it's obvious that he wasn't MAGA. It's obvious, right? So rather than let my emotions run wild with that slap in the face that Jimmy Kimmel issued, I use my intellect to actually look at the quality of his statement in light of truth, and it's a really shit poor quality statement. It's like something that you say just for a dig, for a hot moment, like, like Khan in the Wrath of Khan. Jimmy Kimmel was just in that, like Khan saying, "From hell's hot, I spit at thee." That's all he was doing. He was just like saying, "I want to throw something back at you because I don't like you, and I'm just gonna make up some shit like a child." It's almost the adult equivalent of saying, "Oh yeah, well, I know you are, but what am I?" And it's the adult equivalent of, "Well, yeah, well, your mama." It's like no fucking intellect, no appeal to reality, no appeal to science, no appeal to facts. So because of leading with your intellect instead of your emotions, you don't even really have to be upset. And here's another thing that I want to get to. This is an asymmetrical usage that I'm talking about of free speech, using it to hurt primarily, throw shade, versus inadvertently throwing shade in the pursuit of statements of truth for the benefit of people. Right? Those are asymmetrical realities. Another asymmetrical reality: you bitches on the left are very prone to punishing shit that made you feel bad. But over here, I diffuse some shit that was meant to make me feel bad because, in the light of truth, I can see that that shit can't even possibly be real. Okay, Jimmy Kimmel's actually made himself a fool. The only way he doesn't look like a fool is that the idea that there's a majority of idiots out there who can't sort out his comments to be foolish. So Jimmy's king if the country is full of fools. But if the majority of the country are level-headed thinking people, Jimmy Kimmel is going to lose ratings because that's how we get back at you. We don't shoot you. We just disempower your ability to make misleading statements that, instead of being a boon or a blessing for people, your statements are a distraction from any right path towards planting a seed that would produce something. Like you're not going to find in MAGA the secret cause of how the guy shot Charlie Kirk. Like, get off that track because it's silly. Anyway, it's just amazing to me that you guys don't understand the difference between free speech led by intellect and free speech led by animosity and negative emotion. Both of them we are free to use, but one of them is more bankable or more valuable. Okay, and the left's form of free speech sucks. It sucks. It's not valuable. It only makes you feel like you got back at the person that you thought was throwing shade on you. It's fucking juvenile.